to Everlasting Solutions, the place where God's Word meets life's battles with unshakable truth and divine wisdom. Here you will find strength for your spirit, hope for your soul, and guidance that never fades. Today we step into a powerful revelation drawn from Scripture. 7 unmistakable signs that show when a woman is truly protected by God from evil people. This message is not a theory, but a spiritual reality woven through generations, where God shields His daughters from the snares of the enemy and secures their destiny under His mighty hand. When we open the Bible, we find stories of women who walked through danger but were never consumed. Sarah was protected in foreign lands. Esther was shielded in the king's palace. Ruth was preserved in a field of strangers, and Mary was kept safe to carry the Savior of the world. Each of these women carried a divine mark of protection that frustrated the plans of their enemies. In the same way, women today still walk under that same covering. God's protection is not a story of the past, it is a present reality for those who place their trust in Him. To be a woman under God's protection is to live with assurance that no weapon formed against you will prosper. It is to rise each morning, knowing that even if hidden enemies plot in secret, their schemes will scatter before reaching you. It is to carry a peace that confuses those who wish you harm, because your confidence is not rooted in human power, but in the Almighty who watches over your soul day and night. This protection is not always visible to the natural eye. Sometimes it appears in sudden delays that keep you from danger. At other times it manifests in discernment that alerts your spirit before evil arrives. There are moments when it comes as divine favor, closing doors meant to harm you and opening doors that no enemy can shut. These are the fingerprints of God's hand, weaving safety around your path even when you cannot fully see it. Every woman who belongs to God must understand this truth. His covering is not partial, and His shield is not weak. Evil may rise, enemies may plot, jealousy may surround, but the Lord frustrates their plans before they take root. What was meant to shame becomes honor. What was meant to curse becomes blessing, and what was meant to destroy becomes a testimony of victory. We live in a world where spiritual battles are constant, where manipulation, envy, and witchcraft seek to entangle destinies. Yet the woman who abides under God's shadow becomes untouchable. She may hear the roar of the lion, but she knows the Lion of Judah is greater. She may feel the winds of opposition, but she stands unmoved because her foundation rests on the rock that cannot be shaken. In this message, we will journey through the 7 clear signs that mark a woman protected by God. These signs are drawn from biblical wisdom and spiritual insight, and they will help you recognize God's hand at work in your life. If you see these signs in yourself or in someone close to you, rejoice, because it means heaven is actively guarding, shielding, and preserving that destiny from evil people. Each sign is a reminder that God is not distant, but near. He is not silent, but actively working on your behalf. His angels surround you, His Spirit guides you, and His Word fights for you, even when you cannot see the battle. These signs are more than encouragement. They are proof of divine reality, evidence that you are hidden under the wings of the Almighty. As we unfold these truths, let your spirit be open to receive. Some of these signs you may already recognize in your own life, while others may open your eyes to what God has been doing quietly in the background. By the end of this message, you will carry fresh confidence that no evil plot, No jealous tongue and no hidden scheme can prevail against a woman God has chosen to protect. This is not only for women listening today, but also for men who pray for their wives, daughters, and sisters. It is for families who want to cover their households in God's shield. It is for anyone who seeks assurance that heaven is still watching, still defending, and still proving that God's protection is unshakable. The first sign that a woman is protected by God from evil people is divine discernment. Discernment is the spiritual ability to see beyond the surface, to sense the unseen motives of those around you, and to recognize danger before it fully manifests. A woman under God's covering often knows when something is not right, even when everything looks fine to others. This is not suspicion or fear. It is the Spirit of God alerting her heart. She may feel unsettled about a person, a place, or a decision, and later discover that her intuition was God's way of shielding her from hidden harm. Discernment is a divine compass that keeps her steps ordered, preventing her from walking into the snares of evil people. When the Spirit of God rests on a woman, her eyes are opened to see what others miss. She notices the subtle words of manipulation, the false smiles that conceal envy, and the hidden agendas wrapped in kindness. God sharpens her spiritual senses so that she can avoid connections that would entangle her destiny. This gift of discernment is a shield. It saves her from making alliances with those who would harm her future. Where others walk blindly, she walks with insight. Where others fall into traps, she is preserved by wisdom from above. Discernment also flows into her dreams and inner promptings. Sometimes God warns her at night through visions that expose what is happening in secret. At other times, a quiet voice within tells her not to proceed with a decision that looks attractive on the outside. This inner restraint is not weakness, it is protection. Every time she listens to this divine nudge, she escapes what could have brought pain. Evil people cannot easily deceive a woman covered by discernment, because God ensures her spirit sees what her eyes cannot. This sign is a strong indicator of God's hand, because discernment is not natural intelligence. Many clever people have been deceived. Many wise people have been trapped. But discernment comes from the Spirit alone. It is written that the steps of a righteous person are ordered by the Lord. And through discernment, God literally orders her steps away from danger. Her life may appear to others as if she is just lucky, but in truth, she is being divinely led. Another expression of this sign is the sudden loss of peace in certain situations. A woman under God's protection may find herself uneasy when she is about to enter a harmful partnership, job, or relationship. No matter how promising it looks, that lack of peace becomes God's way of telling her, "This is not for you. I am protecting you from what you cannot see." Many women have testified that ignoring this inner warning led them into unnecessary battles, while obeying it spared them from destruction. The peace of God is a guardian, and the absence of it is a warning. Discernment is also what keeps her from being trapped by flattery. Evil people often use sweet words to disarm their targets, but a woman covered by God does not fall for empty praise. She recognizes the difference between encouragement and manipulation. She can smile outwardly, but remain inwardly guarded, because she knows the Spirit of God within her is greater than any false tongue. This invisible shield keeps her from being ensnared by the very people who thought they could outwit her. This first sign of discernment is powerful because it operates before danger strikes. It is preventive protection, not reactive. God does not wait for his daughters to be wounded before stepping in. He places a spiritual radar in their hearts so that harm is avoided altogether. This is how he keeps them safe in a world where deception, envy, and betrayal are always lurking. The woman who is covered by God walks in wisdom that is higher than her own, and that wisdom frustrates the plans of evil people long before they are executed. The second sign that a woman is protected by God from evil people is divine favor. Favor is more than human approval. It is the supernatural advantage that God places on her life. It opens doors no one can shut and closes doors that were designed to harm her. A woman under divine favor is often lifted above the reach of her enemies, not because she strives in her own strength, but because heaven endorses her path. When evil people rise against her, their efforts collapse because favor surrounds her like a shield. Favor manifests when opportunities find her without her chasing them. Where others struggle endlessly, she often finds herself positioned in the right place at the right time. This is not coincidence. It is God orchestrating her steps so that the traps of the enemy cannot succeed. Even when someone tries to block her, God raises another voice, another person, another platform that ensures she is not silenced. Evil people may plan to shut her out, but favor writes her name where no hand can erase it. This divine favor also frustrates jealousy. Those who envy her cannot understand why doors keep opening for her despite their opposition. They try to sabotage her progress, but favor multiplies her breakthroughs instead. The more they resist her, the more evident it becomes that she is backed by a power greater than their schemes. This is why some enemies grow weary, because every time they push against her, God uses that very push to elevate her higher. Favor is not always about material blessings. Sometimes it is protection in disguise. For example, when Joseph was sold into slavery, he still carried favor, and that favor preserved him until he rose to greatness. In the same way, a woman under God's favor may walk through difficulties, yet she is never consumed, because favor preserves her destiny. Even setbacks turn into stepping stones, and losses turn into platforms for greater victories. Divine favor also raises unexpected helpers for her. People she has never met feel compelled to support her, protect her, and stand on her side. These helpers may not even fully know why they are drawn to her, but it is the Spirit of God moving their hearts. In moments when she feels surrounded, favor ensures that someone steps in to cover her, speak for her, or shield her from harm. Evil people cannot explain why she is supported. They may even wonder why others risk themselves for her, but the answer is simple. The hand of God is upon her life. Another dimension of this sign is preservation of reputation. Evil people often use slander, gossip, or false accusations to destroy women. Yet a woman covered by God's favor finds her name preserved. Lies may spread for a season, but eventually the truth emerges, and her honor is restored. What was meant to ruin her credibility turns into a testimony of vindication. Her reputation shines brighter after the storm than it did before, because favor always defends what belongs to God. His favor cannot be manufactured or manipulated. It is not about beauty, status, or influence. It is about being chosen and covered by the Almighty. When God places favor on a woman, evil people cannot remove it. They may resist it, but they cannot reverse it. They may fight it, but they cannot stop it. The favor of God surrounds her like an invisible wall, ensuring that no matter how much darkness plots against her, her destiny remains untouchable. The third sign that a woman is protected by God from evil people is supernatural preservation from traps. Evil often works in secrecy, designing hidden snares to entangle destinies. But when God's covering rests upon a woman, every trap meant for her downfall turns into an empty pit. She may not even know the full extent of what was prepared against her, but heaven intervenes before the trap is sprung. This divine preservation is not luck. It is the covenant of God at work. There are moments when she is delayed by something that seems small, a missed bus, a canceled appointment, or a sudden change of plans, only to discover later that this interruption saved her from harm. What others call coincidence, she recognizes as the invisible hand of God rerouting her steps. These sudden redirections are not accidents. They are God's way of pulling her out of paths where evil people had set snares. This preservation also shows itself when the plans of her enemies backfire. Those who scheme against her find themselves trapped in the very net they prepared. This is the principle of divine reversal, where the arrows fired at her return to the sender, and the pits dug for her become the graves of her adversaries. She does not need to fight with her hands, for God Himself ensures the battle is turned in her favor. Supernatural preservation can also be recognized in the way danger passes her by. Others around her may fall into the schemes of evil, yet she remains untouched. The same environment that consumes others cannot consume her, because she is marked by the Lord. This protection does not mean she avoids challenges, but it ensures that no trap designed for destruction can hold her captive. Even in relationships, this sign is evident. Many times she may not understand why certain people suddenly walk away from her life or why certain doors close abruptly. But in hindsight, she sees that God removed her from connections that were secretly harmful. The loss that once felt painful reveals itself as a rescue, and what seemed like rejection was in fact divine protection. Evil people may work tirelessly to corner her, but their plans dissolve like mist in the morning sun. Their conspiracies lose strength because God exposes their secrets or dismantles their agreements. Sometimes He causes confusion among them, and the unity of their plot shatters before it can reach her. While they wonder why their strategies fail, she continues to move forward under heaven's covering. This sign of preservation is a testimony that the Lord is her keeper. Just as He shut the mouths of lions for Daniel and confused the armies that pursued Israel, He still preserves His daughters from the snares of evil people today. A woman under this protection can walk with confidence, knowing that no hidden trap can destroy her destiny, because the Lord has already declared her steps are secure. The fourth sign that a woman is protected by God from evil people is the mysterious peace that surrounds her life even in hostile environments. Peace is more than a feeling. It is a shield that comes from the presence of God. When a woman carries this divine peace, she becomes unshaken in moments when others expect her to fall apart. This peace is not natural. It cannot be explained by logic, because it flows from heaven itself. Evil people may plot, manipulate, and attack, but their arrows cannot penetrate a heart anchored in God's peace. This peace confuses the enemy. Evil thrives on fear, chaos, and anxiety. But when a woman remains calm, the enemy loses power. Her stillness is not weakness. It is proof that she knows who is fighting for her. Even when surrounded by storms, she rests in the promise that God is her refuge and her fortress. This supernatural calm becomes her defense. For those who expected her to panic are left wondering why she remains strong. Peace under pressure is often the first sign to others that she is divinely covered. In workplaces filled with jealousy, in families entangled with strife, or in environments poisoned by gossip, she remains steady. She does not respond with anger or retaliation because she understands that her peace is spiritual armor. This calm disarms evil people, for their tactics lose power when they cannot disturb her spirit. Sometimes this peace acts as a barrier. There are moments when words spoken against her simply do not land. Insults, curses, and accusations slide off her spirit because her heart is guarded by God's presence. What could have broken her instead strengthens her, because the peace of God has already absorbed the impact. This invisible protection frustrates her enemies because no matter what they say or do, she remains unmoved. This peace also gives her clarity in decision-making. Evil people often try to create confusion so that mistakes are made under pressure. But the woman, under God's covering, does not rush. She waits, she listens, and she moves only when peace confirms her step. This patience saves her from traps and ensures she remains aligned with God's plan rather than falling into the schemes of those who seek her downfall. In her private life, this peace becomes her comfort. Even in seasons of loss, betrayal, or hardship, she does not collapse under the weight of despair. Tears may come, but her spirit does not drown in sorrow. The peace of God whispers to her that the storm is temporary and that her protection is eternal. This inner strength testifies to everyone watching that she is not standing by her own power, but by the shield of the Almighty. Peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of God in the middle of them. This peace marks her as untouchable because it proves that her protection is not external, but internal. Evil people may rage on the outside, but they cannot shake the fortress built within her spirit. This is why she continues to rise, continues to shine, and continues to overcome, because the Prince of Peace himself surrounds her like an unbreakable wall. The fifth sign that a woman is protected by God from evil people is the preservation of her reputation. In a world where words can wound, gossip can destroy, and slander can ruin, God guards her name. She may face false accusations or secret schemes intended to discredit her, yet her reputation remains untarnished. The enemy may whisper lies, but heaven speaks truth on her behalf. What others try to steal from her, God restores in ways that are both visible and undeniable. This preservation is often subtle, yet undeniable. When people speak against her, unexpected testimonies rise to defend her. Those who were witnesses to her integrity remember and proclaim it. What seemed as though it would harm her only strengthens her standing, revealing that God is actively protecting her honor. The more intense the opposition, the more her vindication becomes a testimony of divine intervention. Her preservation extends beyond personal reputation to her work, family, and influence. People may attempt to sabotage her efforts, yet her accomplishments remain intact. Projects that were vulnerable to manipulation succeed. Her family remains protected from hidden plots, and her influence continues to grow in ways others cannot explain. This is God's way of showing that no attack can prevail when He has marked her for protection. Even when she does not understand why certain doors close or why some relationships end abruptly, she eventually sees that God preserved her name and destiny. She may have felt loss or disappointment at the moment, but in hindsight, every act of protection points to God's faithfulness. The loss that once seemed painful reveals itself as a safeguard against harm and a preservation of her legacy. Enemies often underestimate her because they do not see the divine protection surrounding her reputation. They may speak ill, spread false narratives, or plot in secrecy, yet their efforts cannot touch the truth that God has set in place. This invisible shield ensures that what is meant for destruction becomes the very source of her testimony. Preservation of reputation also manifests in divine timing. Lies and accusations may linger temporarily, but God ensures that vindication comes at the right moment. This timing not only protects her, but also magnifies the glory of God in her life, showing others that she is under the care of the Almighty. It is not by her own strength or wisdom that she endures. It is by the hand of God that she is upheld. Ultimately, the preservation of reputation is a sign that God is intimately involved in her life. It is proof that she is not forgotten, that her integrity is seen, and that her destiny cannot be hijacked. Evil people may try to tarnish, twist, or destroy, but she remains covered, honored, and shielded by the power of heaven. Her life testifies that when God protects a woman, no weapon formed against her can succeed. The sixth sign that a woman is protected by God from evil people is supernatural provision. God ensures that her needs are met in ways that cannot be explained by human means. Even in seasons of scarcity or financial pressure, divine resources appear at exactly the right time. What others view as coincidence, she recognizes as the hand of God supplying her needs, keeping her from falling into the traps that the enemy sets through lack or desperation. Provision goes beyond money or material things. It encompasses wisdom, favor, opportunities, and even timely words. God provides guidance when confusion surrounds her, opens doors when obstacles seem insurmountable, and sends the right people to her aid when she faces challenges. The enemy may try to block her blessings, but God's provision overflows, turning every attempt to hinder her into evidence of His protection. This provision often comes in ways that surprise her. An unexpected gift, a sudden breakthrough, or a timely connection may appear when the situation seemed hopeless. These moments are not luck. They are evidence that God is intimately aware of her circumstances. She does not have to manipulate situations or strive to force outcomes because God's hand ensures her needs are met at the perfect time. Even in her personal life, this sign is evident. God guards her from situations that would leave her vulnerable to exploitation. He provides people, environments, and resources that sustain her spirit, protect her family, and uphold her integrity. Evil people may attempt to manipulate her circumstances, but God's provision strengthens her foundation and ensures she cannot be easily ensnared. Supernatural provision also builds resilience. She learns that her security does not depend on others or on the world, but on the faithfulness of God. This understanding frees her from fear of lack, envy, or dependence on those who might have hidden agendas. Her peace deepens, her confidence rises, and the enemy finds that their schemes cannot touch her because she is fully supplied by the Almighty. Provision comes in protective layers. Sometimes it is the right words at the right time. Other times it is physical protection through people, doors, or circumstances. Every act of supply is a barrier that keeps her steps safe. While evil works to destabilize, God works to stabilize, and the two cannot coexist in her life. Ultimately, supernatural provision is a sign that God is watching over every detail of her existence. Nothing is too small for him to protect, nothing too large for him to supply. Her life demonstrates that when the Lord covers a woman, her every need, her every path, and her every step is guarded, guided, and gloriously provided for, leaving her enemies powerless to thwart her destiny. The seventh sign that a woman is protected by God from evil people is divine alignment with her destiny. God positions her in places and moments that fulfill His plan for her life, ensuring that no enemy can derail what He has ordained. Even when obstacles rise, doors close, people oppose her, she remains on the path designed by heaven. This alignment is invisible to many, yet it is unmistakable to those walking in faith, as it orchestrates her every step for maximum impact and protection. Divine alignment shows itself in timing, the right opportunities, the right connections, and the right breakthroughs appear exactly when needed. Even delays that seem frustrating are actually God's redirection, keeping her away from danger or preventing her from stepping into traps. She begins to understand that every moment, even the uncomfortable ones, is part of a divine choreography designed to protect her and advance her purpose. This alignment also governs her relationships. God directs her interactions, bringing supportive people into her life and removing those with hidden agendas. The friendships, partnerships, and alliances that remain are aligned with her destiny, while those meant to cause harm quietly fall away. The enemy may attempt to infiltrate her circle, but divine discernment and positioning keep her surrounded by the right influences at the right time. Divine alignment gives her clarity of purpose. She knows that she is not wandering aimlessly, and even when chaos surrounds her, she understands that God's plan is in motion. This awareness strengthens her faith, fuels her perseverance, and protects her from being sidetracked by distractions or manipulations. Every decision she makes aligns with God's blueprint for her life, ensuring that evil people cannot mislead or hinder her progress. This sign is often accompanied by an unexplainable favor and smooth progression in areas where she has been faithful. She experiences success and breakthroughs that defy natural explanation. And these victories demonstrate that her life is under divine supervision. Even in setbacks, she sees God's hand correcting the course, refining her path, and reinforcing her destiny. Divine alignment also manifests in spiritual protection. When her steps coincide with God's will, she becomes untouchable to hidden attacks. Strategies against her fail because her life is synchronized with heaven's design. Her path becomes a living testimony of God's faithfulness, proving that His daughters are never abandoned or left to navigate danger alone. Ultimately, divine alignment is the hallmark of a life under God's protection. When a woman walks in alignment with her destiny, she carries a peace, favor, provision, discernment, and honor that no evil person can penetrate. Her life is a living declaration that God's hand is active, His shield is strong, and His promises are faithful. Every step she takes confirms that she is not just surviving, she is thriving under the watchful eyes of the Almighty. As we reflect on these 7 signs, remember that God's protection is not distant. It is active, personal, and powerful. You are not walking alone. Every step you take, every decision you make is covered by a hand that cannot fail. Evil may surround you, but heaven's shield remains unbroken. Take heart in knowing that your life is sacred, your destiny is guarded, and your future is secure in the hands of the Almighty. Let these truths sink deep into your spirit. Be encouraged to trust God fully, to listen to His warnings, and to walk in His peace. Pray boldly, for your prayers strengthen the covering over your life. Declare His word over yourself, your family, and your destiny, and watch as the enemy's schemes are turned into testimonies of victory. Rise with confidence, knowing that divine favor, discernment, preservation, peace, provision, reputation, and alignment with destiny are all gifts that mark you as a woman God protects. Let no fear or manipulation shake you. Let every attack serve only to reveal the power of God at work in your life. Stand strong, walk boldly, and shine as a living testament that when God protects a woman, no one can break through the walls He has built around her. Hold on to these revelations daily. Speak them over your life. Meditate on them and share them with others who need to know that God is their protector. Your life is not ordinary. It is covered, it is blessed, and it is destined for victory. Trust Him completely, for He who guards your soul will never fail, and no evil person can penetrate the divine covering surrounding you.